Hi guys and gals, and welcome back to another Working Out Game video. Today's video is dedicated to the Leader Killer gameplay, so let's jump right into it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thanks so much. Alright, so one of the first things that I experienced in Illusion Connect was, I wanted to defend my leader. I wanted to defend the checkpoint that's going to end up making me lose the game if he dies, right? So you'll notice here that I'm very, very different from that mindset. I'm placing units that are pretty much not in front of my leader, and there's a reason for it, right? So I placed Miyuki after the other Miyuki ulted, so I can essentially live, right? And look at my Miyuki's ult gauge in particular and where I placed her. I placed her in an area where she could get hit. I want her to get hit so she can build more rage. And then look, it's full. Now I drop BB, and what happens here is I pretty much ult all the opponents, or unique, and then I unique all the opponents right there. So pretty much the field is empty, right? If I just slammed units on top of each other, essentially I wouldn't get the timing right where I could double ult at a perfect time. And that is one of the key differences in the game, where essentially you read the map. You can't just slam units for the sake of slamming them or overpower the map because of the fact you have really strong units. For me, that doesn't work, because I don't have units that can take hits, right? I only have a bunch of squishy units, a bunch of Sorks and like one tank. But honestly, I want to avoid any situation where I use my tank. Preferably that's how I play, unless it's a multi-stage, where it's like 4 stages or what have you. But watch what happens here on this stage. So, pretty much I'm looking at the ult gauges. I'm like, alright, where is the best place that I can, place a unit? Because this is my first time seeing this stage. I repeated the last one like 30s, like so many times. So I was just like waiting. So I was like, alright, I don't want to pretty much make the ult gauges, everyone's ult gauge really high. So I'll place Miyuki at the bottom so she doesn't get hit. It's one of the first mistakes I make, is I don't want my units to get hit. And the thing is I need Miyuki to get hit so she can generate more rage. And obviously, my team it doesn't have to be Miyuki every single time. It's just that she's very good at manipulating that rage meter, right? So you can see here what's happening is essentially my Miyuki ulted and pretty much destroyed my team. But because I placed Gigi way too early, I could have waited and placed a different unit. I could have placed Nina instead, and if I placed Nina, I would have been able to pretty much one-shot that middle line. But instead, I panicked, placed GG so I could get the kill, and pretty much what happens here is I fail because, I get AoE'd to death because they have back-to-back AoEs, Rikia and then Miyuki. So that's like one of the things that's always painful to see is, getting AoE'd and then pretty much having no chance to win. You're like, man, they just keep slamming AoE into my team. But I try again, because there's always a way to, get around those barriers. By that I mean, this time I'm going to place Miyuki in a different location. And the reasoning why is because I want to build ult meter so that, when they attack, eventually she can retaliate and land another ult or unique, right? And note that you can place Mary before Miyuki, but my goal isn't really damage with my Miyuki. My goal is to time my unique skills so I can stop certain things from occurring. And you can see right here, like, technically, like, standard thing would be to panic, but now I can use Nina appropriately because I have enough energy, and I timed it in a way so that I did enough damage, and then I also have enough energy to deal the damage, right? So Nina pretty much goes off here. I don't have enough to kill, so obviously it's like, oh my goodness. But I have enough energy to the point where I can at least summon Yuffie, right? So the biggest thing is take your time with these things. Don't just spam units, because that's one of the mistakes that I made at the very, very beginning. Obviously, you don't have to play like me. You can play in a tank setup. You can play in, a more like overpowering like attack setup or a Kasumi setup, which is going to come in the future, where she just pretty much one-shots the line. But the thing is that I want us to take note of is that I'm pretty much paying attention to the map, looking at the ult meters, because I don't want to hit. AoE is actually not king in this game, funny enough. Well, particularly in story and arena, probably it's a little bit different. But the reason why I say that is because in story, they have a certain amount of rage or a certain amount of ulti meter that they come with. So my biggest thing is making sure that the enemies don't have enough ulti gauge to pretty much one-shot my entire team or one-shot my leader by the time I appear. So the goal is to manipulate that, and this is why Miyuki is such a crazy unit, right? And obviously, like, my Rs and SRs are like the main headliners still, because if I didn't have like a damage dealer like Pan, like you saw earlier, I wouldn't be able to, you know, execute the plays appropriately. If I slammed like an AoE unit or pretty much any unit that doesn't deal the amount of damage that I need, my run essentially fails. So essentially the moral of the story is you know, look at the map, focus on ulti gauge, and then see different placement styles. Don't do the same thing over and over again, and pretty much watch what happens if you just delay a unit placement for like a point like second. It can change so much, and this is why there's certain units to me that are more valuable. And it's not because, you know, one does more damage or not. It just comes down to, I know their timing, I know what they do, and I can master them. So anyways, that's pretty much it for my commentary. You know, I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.